married my first wife, Judith Pete, and we have 4 children together. And in 1832, I used my inheritance from my father's death after the move, and I bought a piece of property and built a house on it, and I called that Cotton Hill. So in my family's history, I'm known as Cotton Hill Luke for that reason. The house still stands today. It's on Browns Ferry Road in Limestone County. That's in 1832. In 1842, my wife, with whom we have 4 children, she dies. And the next year, because I'm not very good at raising all these kids by myself, I marry another lady, Lucy Ann Spotswood. She's here. And we have 8 more children together. In 1845, I began the acquisition of another plantation. I buy it in 3 different tracts. I bought 1,233 acres. 5 years later, I buy another 1,000 acres, and a few years later, I buy another couple hundred acres. It totals 2,400 acres, and it's in Madison County in a piece of ground that you know today as Gate 9 of Redstone Arsenal. At that time, that piece of property I owned on both sides of the Memphis to Charleston Railroad, and the railroad there had a stop on it, not an official stop, just a place where railroad cars stopped. People could get on the train and come into Huntsville. We were farmers too, where cotton is loaded and unloaded off the trains, and that's known as Elko Switch. In 1846, I moved from Cotton Hill to Elko Switch, and we lived there for 18 years. During the Civil War, I sent 6 sons to fight for the Confederacy during the Civil War. 1 we never heard from again, 2 died in prison camps, and 3 returned. An interesting story is during the Civil War, Union General Mitchell comes to Oakendale. He comes to my plantation, he sees all my cotton, and he confiscates all my cotton. And because there's a railroad right there handy for him, he loads it all up onto the railroad cars. Well, in the middle of the night, I sneak over to the railroad and I burn all of my own cotton. I come back inside and I tell my wife that if I can't have my cotton, the damn Yankees ain't going to get it either. So, fortunately for me, the general didn't shoot me, but he made me move into Huntsville. I moved over to 528 Adams Street, where I lived with my brother-in-law. And after the war, I stayed on in Huntsville. I purchased a house and 4 acres at 416 McClung Avenue, and I lived there until I was 79 when I died in 1875. In the years following the Civil War, I was a land broker. I bought and sold pieces of property all over Madison County, and some of which you'll know today. I bought 1,200 acres at the northeast corner of Pulaski Pike and Bob Wade Lane. And today, you know that is a Toyota manufacturing facility. In 1871, I bought 750 acres between Memorial Parkway and Huntsville Spring Branch. And you know that today as John Hunt Park and Becky Pierce Memorial Golf Course. But not all of my property transactions involved rural property. I also owned some interest in different buildings. At one point, I owned a 1/3 interest in a building on the east side of the square, and you know that today as the Schiffman Building. At another time, I owned a piece of property that's on the south side of the square that I kept until I died, and my estate sold it to 2 brothers who opened up a business out of it. You may want to guess what their last name is. Harrison. The Harrison brothers purchased the left half of their store from my estate once I died. My grandson and his wife and their children owned a mill on Clinton Avenue, and in the early 1920s, the mill was changed to Dixie Warehouse and Storage Company. A cotton scale from that company still exists in the office of the county engineer today, but you know that location as the building where the post office is on Clinton Avenue today. Property that's owned by my descendants is still in our family today. I want to thank all of you for coming to the cemetery stroll. The reason this character is important to me is because I am portraying today my great-great-great-grandfather. So we have a lot of family history here at Maple Hill. One last parting shot is that I'm portraying Luke Matthews Jr., and his father was Luke Matthews Sr. One of his sons was named Benjamin Luke. Benjamin Luke had 2 sons, one named Luke and another named Benjamin. Benjamin had a son named Luke, who had a son named Benjamin III, who had a son named Benjamin IV, who had a son named Benjamin Houston. I'm Benjamin Houston Matthews, and I have a son, Benjamin Roberts. So we have a lot of family history here at Mapleville. Hope you enjoy the story. I'm not. No, I should. I'm gonna state that the next time. I'm not. Yeah, okay. I'm not in your bulletin. I'm a late addition. There's been somebody that's the actor that has portrayed Cotton Hill Luke for a long, long time just hasn't been able to do it, and so we just didn't get in touch.